Good afternoon, grade 10. Today I'll be moving to another topic, which is the social responsibility. What is social responsibility? And when you're talking about social responsibility, we're talking about how responsible individuals should be to the community, and at the same time, how businesses needs to be a responsible person in the environment in which they operate. So when you're talking about the social responsibility, it's any person, group, organization that has a responsibility to act. I actually want you to underline that, to act in a way that benefits the society in general. So when you're talking about being socially responsible, it means that there are some acts, there are some behaviors you need to stay away from, because you need to look at the impact it's going to have on other people. Examples of a social responsibility will be, we include avoiding doing anything that can harm others in the environment. That's very, very important. For you to be a responsible person as an individual, for you to be a responsible business, you must actually stay away from doing things that can harm other people or that can impose a threat to other people, and at the same time are getting actively involved in projects that have a positive impact on the society. So when you're talking about avoiding things that can harm other people, for a businesses needs to stay away from pollution, because pollution is very harmful to human beings and even to animals. Be it any kind of a pollution, businesses needs to stay away from pollution. Businesses needs to stay away from selling expired goods or selling a second-hand good as new. Selling expired good means that, okay, the business is only looking into the profit, but you're not looking at the impact it has on other people. So let's now look at what corporate social responsibility actually means, which is the CSR. When you're talking about the word corporate, it refers to the business. What is corporate social responsibility? It is where business recognize the need to give back to the society in a sustainable way. That is, businesses need to practice, they need to give back in a sustainable way. And it is a commitment by businesses to behave, please underline, ethically and contribute to the economic development while improving the quality of life of the workforce, the families, the local communities, and the society at large. So when you're talking about the commitment of a business, they need to behave ethically. Ethically means only do what is good and just. And at the same time, they need to contribute to the economic development in the country in which they operate. So we are focusing on South Africa. Businesses need to do what is ethical. Businesses must do what is good. You get what I'm trying to say? Businesses must not rip consumers off. Businesses must not sell expired goods as new. Businesses must not increase the price of goods or services because, okay, there is lockdown, there's panic, and there's panic buying. Everybody is trying to buy, and now you increase a loaf of bread from maybe 12 rand to 30 rand because you can see people are so desperate. That is not ethical. So businesses need to behave in an ethical way. Businesses need to dispose their waste in a proper way that doesn't harm the community in which they operate. And at the same time, they need to contribute to economic development. Economic development in what sense? They need to encourage responsible buying and selling while improving the quality of life. When there is buying and selling, when people can afford to buy products or services in the business, it improves the quality of life of the people, that is the consumers, and at the same time, it increases the quality of life of the workforce, that is the quality of life of the employees. When businesses are making profit, obviously, employees can also get a salary increase in the business, and at the end of the day, the families will be uplifted, and at the same time, the community will be uplifted, and it helps the society to grow at the same time. So let's now look at the importance of CSR for the business. Why is corporate social responsibility Why is it important to the business? Why does businesses need to practice that? Why do they need to be responsible in the community in which they operate? Number one, business that ignore the trend towards being socially responsible risk the loss of profit. Businesses that are not socially responsible, businesses that are not practicing their businesses in an ethical way, they tend to be at the risk of losing profit because there is no way they can actually attract consumers from their behavior. Sometimes we see some businesses, they sell expired products, and when consumers get hold of all those products, it becomes a big deal, and everybody spreads the news and say, okay, don't go to that certain shop, they're selling expired product. Those are the examples of ways by which businesses are losing profit. But at the same time, before businesses can put any product on the shelf, they actually need to see the expiry date, and at the same time, they need to make sure that they do what is good or what is right and just. Number two, importance of CSR for the business is that investors are looking to invest in good, sustainable businesses that also have a good CSR. So when businesses are very responsible, investors look into all those businesses and they are willing to invest, that is putting their own money so as to expand the business. So it is very important for businesses to be responsible because investors around the world is actually looking at them, and that can attract investors to invest in their business. Number three, many businesses are committed to making a real life difference in the community and prioritize CSR. So many businesses that are prioritizing CSR in the community in which they operate, they actually get they actually get a kind of, how can I say it, the commitment from the consumers in the community in which they operate. And at the same time, all those businesses makes a real life difference. People talk about them. Consumers talk about what they're doing in the community. They talk about the recycling they're doing. They talk about reducing programs they're doing. They talk about all those informations about saving water, about switching off electricity when you are not using them. They talk about eco-friendly products that they are being used. They talk about businesses that are using paper bag instead of using plastic bag. Those are ways of being responsible in the business. And also being proactive about CSR give businesses a competitive advantage. So businesses that are compliant, businesses that are responsible in the community, they actually have a competitive advantage amongst their competitors. So there's no way the competitor can beat them because they're doing what is right. They know what to do at the right time, and they actually implement that in their business. And number five, it gives the business a good publicity. People know more about the business. People want to partner with them. People want to go and shop with them because they know they are responsible business. For example, I've shared a lot of examples with you that I would rather go to a specific shop and buy my kitchen appliances because those shops, they are people that are very responsible. When you tell them that something happens to your maybe your toaster or your kettle, they're willing to give you back your money, or sometimes they give you an exchange. They don't ask you silly questions like, when did you start using it? Who was the last person to use it? Because they are responsible business. They want to be ethical. They know what is good concerning the Consumer Protection Act, that if a good is faulty within 6 months, a consumer has the right to get a new one or to get a refund. Those are businesses that are compliant. Those are businesses that does what is good. So there is good publicity. I can talk about all those businesses, and I've always encouraged you that speak to your parent. Your parent must buy in this business because I've experienced their good behavior and I can actually recommend them to other people. So that is an example of a good publicity. People tend to speak about them, that is good things about them. And also, the second to the last point, it raises the business reputation. The business reputation is being rated as the best, and the business benefit when they have a good reputation. Even when other people say, no, but I was there yesterday, they will just say, no, maybe you actually don't know what you're talking about. That reputation is there, irrespective of what happens. People still stick to that businesses. And I've said it times without number, Our parents are very loyal to Woolworths. Even if we look at Woolworths as like comparing the product in Woolworths in terms of food and other shops, they tend to be more expensive. But our parents prefer to still stick to Woolworths because they've been with Woolworths for maybe like 20 years, 25 years. That is what we call a reputation. The reputation is there. There's nothing that can change our parents' mindset to go and shop elsewhere. They stick to Woolworths. And lastly, it makes employees likely to be more loyal, businesses that are responsible. So being responsible means that they do what is ethical. So which means on the part of the employees, they treat employees in a very nice way. They pay them a fair wage. When employees do overtime, they pay them overtime salaries. They give them bonuses at the end of the year. They give them incentive. They actually know that they need a salary increase. They know when to give it to them, and at the same time they give them a lot of workshop. They practice skills development for all those employees, because all those businesses knows that is what is ethical, that is what is good, that is what is being responsible. So if they treat their employees in a good way, employees tend to be more loyal to the business. That is, there's going to be less turnover. Less turnover means that employees leave the job every now and then. But when a business is responsible, when a business does what is good, employees tend to be loyal to them because they will be treated in a very good way, and because the business support what? The community. Remember, employees are also consumers in a way. And at the same time, employees sees what the business is doing in the community. So in that sense, employees tend to be loyal to the business and they stick to them for a longer period of time. Then we move to what is a triple bottom line. I actually want you to underline that. It's at the bottom of the page. What do we refer to as a triple bottom line? When you're talking about the triple, it refers to three. There are three things that is very important for a responsible business. That is very, very important. The government looks into the business using the triple bottom line. We want to assess a business if the business is a good business. The government wants to see if the business is a responsible business. But what are the criteria we need to use? What are the things we need to put in place to measure that business if that business is actually responsible? So the first the first sentence says, it measures the businesses by more than the financial success or the profit. So when you're talking about the triple bottom line, the profitability is not important. Fine, the profitability is there, but the government doesn't look at how profitable your business is. The government is not really interested in that. So when you're talking about the triple bottom line of a business, it actually refers to the social aspect, the environmental, and the financial. So the three bottom line is actually looking into what? The profit. It lays more emphasis on the profit the business makes. It also looks about the people. So when you're talking about the people, that is where the social aspect actually comes in. And when you're talking about the planet, I actually want you to open a bracket. It says profit. I want you to put the financial aspect in there. And when you're talking about the people, you're talking about the social life. And when you're talking about the planet, it's looking into what? The environmental factor, how the business are being compliant, which is very, very important. So when you're talking about the triple bottom line, it refers to the profit of the business, the people, and the planet. So when you're talking about the profit, okay, fine. How much profit is that business making? Because fine, if you make profit, you pay tax to the government. And government depends on the tax. Then number two, the government wants to see, how do you treat people? Do you give back to people in your community? Because remember, we spoke about the contemporary socio-economic issue, which is the topic we just finished. And we look at South Africa as a country that has a lot of problem. We spoke about unemployment. We spoke about poverty. We spoke about HIV and AIDS. We spoke about gambling. We spoke about low productivity. And those are problems that we find in the society in which we live. It lives within us. But when you look at all those problems are not a problem that can be solved by the government. Businesses also need to play a certain role in minimizing or in reducing the impact of those problems on our lifestyle. So the government is playing a part. The government also expects business to partner with them and help them solve some of those problems. That is where the people comes in. And that is where the social aspect comes in, that do you give back to the people? That is the social aspect. Do you give back to the people? In fact, I can actually call it the social investment. Do you invest in the people in the community in which you operate? Because when you're talking about the people are also the consumers. That is where you get your profit from. When people don't patronize you as a business, there's no way you can be profitable. But in the sense, when you make all those profits, do you give back to the community in which you operate? Do you give back to the people that actually buys from you? Do you give back to the people that support you in making the profit you make in your business? So the government wants to see, what do you do to the community? Do you have a feeding scheme? Do you have a soup kitchen? Do you have the Isonka project? Do you have a basketball field? Do you have a swimming pool? What can you do for people in that environment in which you operate? Because that is where you get your profit from. Do you engage in skills development? Do you employ people in that environment? Do you give a scholarship to your employees' kids? Do you give bursaries to them? What do you do in the environment in which you operate? That is the social aspect that the government also measures. So it's very, very important for businesses to stand up and rally around the government to solve some of our socio-economic issues. Let's take an example at what we are experiencing now. Okay, we are on lockdown. We've got COVID. The government is putting in their best, but now we have a lot of businesses that are giving government the money to fight what? COVID. Because government cannot fight it all by themselves. So we have a lot of businesses coming and saying, okay, here is my business, I'm donating 1 million rand. Okay, here is my business, I can make face masks. Here is my business, I can make gloves and so on and so forth. Here is my business, I can make hand sanitizers for free and donate to people in the community, because the government cannot solve all the problems we're having in South Africa. So the social aspect is very, very important. You can make a lot of profit. If you do not give back to the community, which is the people, the government doesn't see you as a responsible business. And lastly is the planet. When you're talking about the planet, the government is looking at what? How do you preserve the environment? How do you make use of your raw materials? Do you waste raw materials? That is why the government wants to look at businesses that are compliant with the 3 R's. That is the environment. I actually want you to put it there. So when you're talking, when you're talking about the environment, you'll be talking about reducing your waste, recycling, and reusing, which is the third one. The environment, that is why you see businesses, they stop using plastic, because plastic is becoming a nuisance. So everyone is just switch on to a paper bag. And even when we were using those plastic, you see a lot of businesses, they do that recycling sign, so that next time when you come in, make sure you bring that bag, it can be reused. Bags needs to be reused. Businesses needs to make a campaign of that. Businesses needs to make us aware of switching off our light. That is saving energy. Businesses need to make campaigns of making sure that you turn off your tap after when you're brushing your teeth. Those are examples of ways that governments wants to see. Do you tell people how to recycle? Do you tell people how to reduce, and at the same time how to reuse? What do we call it? How to reuse some of containers or some of the bottles. You can use it over and over again, because if we keep on using it and putting it in the bin, it's coming to an extent whereby the raw materials that is being used in manufacturing all those products can go in extinction if it's being overused. So we need to practice that. The government wants to see, how do you dispose your waste? The government wants to see, do you violate laws of pollution? How do you dispose your waste as a business? Government wants to see that. Do you cause a water pollution? Do you cause a land pollution? Causing a water pollution means that some of your waste product, maybe you work in a fishery, and when you're cleaning your fish, you just go to the sea and dump your waste, or you just dump it in a sewage. the government wants to see all those kind of things. Do you practice recycling? What do you do? Like giving you a practical example, during the time of load shedding, you see when you go to Woolworths, they actually have all these energy saving bulbs and at the same time they tell you to save energy. They display messages so that you can see that we're running out of electricity. So the government wants to see, do you engage in land pollution? Do you engage in water pollution? Do you engage even in noise pollution? Even the noise pollution. You remember, guys, I always talk about noise pollution. It is a form of pollution that is unwanted by people. So the business, when do you do your manufacturing? Do you do it when people are sleeping? When are you supposed to work? When are you supposed to produce? And what are you supposed to produce? When you overproduce, it causes air pollution. And that is what we see in China. If you watch all those movies, you see China produces uncontrollably. We have a lot of air pollution in that country. So when you're talking of a triple bottom line, in conclusion, the government measures the profit of a business, what you do to people in the community in which you operate, and at the same time, how you save the planet. That is the environmental factor. And yeah, let's now quickly look at the initiatives that the business actually make use of or take to address socioeconomic issues. So I actually want you to put by the initiative taken by businesses to address socioeconomic issues, I actually want you to put corporate social investment. Corporate social investment, which is the CSI. What does the business do? How does the business invest in the community? How does the business give back to the community? What are the initiatives? Initiatives means what are the programs? What can they do? What can they offer the community? Which is the CSI. The one we've been speaking about is referred to as the CSR. But now let's look at the CSI. That is the people. What can they do to uplift the community? Many businesses have taken up the challenges of corporate social responsibility, and the King Commission of Corporate Governance, which is the King Code, provided guidelines on how to run a business ethically and responsibly. Let's look at initiatives that the business can give to the community. Number one, they can give money to schools, charities, and other worthy causes. Number two, uplifting staff members through training and development. That is the skills development training. You need to send your employees for training so that they can be upskilled, so that they can earn better salaries. Number three, provide bursaries for employees' children, which I spoke about as an example of a CSI. And because when you're talking of these bursaries, I can give you a practical example of ShopRite. They actually give bursaries to learners that studies business management at the university. Business management, any courses that are business related, they get bursary if their parents working. Learners get bursary if their parents work for ShopRite. And at the same time, they can even get a job when they finish at the university. That is if you study anything that has to be business related. Get involved in the local community in hands-on projects with community members. And on project to be all those Isonka project, the Meals on Wheels project. That is, there are a lot of things they do in the community, and at the same time, those are sustainable initiatives. It goes a long way. It's not just once off, like, okay, it's raining, now we give you a blanket. No, it's different. And number five, they also get involved with sport development. When you look at the community in which you live, the community in which I live, you look at some places that businesses can decide to build a recreational center for kids to like a park to go and play. So just to keep them busy, sometimes business build all those swimming pools, they build basketball court, they teach learners how to serve, they teach them how to play soccer, they teach them how to, they just go into the community and ask them what do they need, and they provide anything that has to be sport related if that is what people need in that community. And also, businesses get involved with environmental green issues. When you're talking about environmental green issues, they get involved with programs like planting trees. They get involved in programs like recycling of bottle, recycling of glass, plastic, and so on and so forth. And at the same time, people actually make money from all those recycling things that they do. So businesses need to get involved with environmental green issues. That is, they need to educate people the importance of recycling, reducing, and at the same time reusing, avoiding pollution. What does it mean to avoid pollution? They actually go to schools and they partner with environmental clubs, and they sponsor that programs just to create awareness and the reason why recycling is very important. And lastly, all these business initiatives serve to uplift society and the environment in which we live. Business could focus on any of the following socioeconomic issues. Like I said, any business can decide to, when we get to grade 11, we'll speak more about that. It's not a must for a business to focus on certain things. Business can decide to say, okay, this is my area of I've got passion for that. I wish I could work on that. I wish I could save that community. I wish I could give back in this area. So businesses can actually look into any socioeconomic issue. For example, HIV and AIDS. Businesses can offer any program on that. On unemployment, businesses can create jobs for people in the community. Creating jobs, like businesses can decide to open another outlet in Langa, and they only employ people that lives in Langa. Those are the examples of reducing unemployment in that community. And we have low productivity. Low productivity means that people are not skilled for them to be able to carry out certain skills. Then the business can get involved with skills development, bringing people that are expert, people that have the skill from all walks of life, going into the community and say, okay, we have people that do not have job. What are you interested in? Then the business can bring in skills developer and train those people so that they can be productive. And at the same time, businesses can focus on poverty, feeding scheme. What can they do to minimize poverty? And businesses can also look into inequality. Business can also come up with ways to fight crime. And business can also look at ways to minimize violence in the community. And that actually brings me to the end of another topic. Yeah, it was quite quick, but it's very informative. I will be expecting your question. And yeah, that is that for today. And I'll be starting another topic.